Hello and welcome back to the channel. I am so sorry that it's been a while since I posted our last video tutorial, and unfortunately I have to stop doing the Kdenlive series for now. And that's not because I don't love Kdenlive anymore or I don't want to use it. So I actually moved to a different country, and unfortunately I could not bring my desktop with me. I haven't had a chance to buy a new computer and set up Linux yet. So I'm just using my Macbook, which is actually a work computer. So we're going to get by, and today we're going to be talking about Shotcut. I've used Shotcut before, and it's great because it's open source and it's cross-platform. Today we are going through a beginner's overview of Shotcut. You'll learn how to cut different clips. You will learn how to do transitions. I will teach you how to do some simple effects, how to apply effects in Shotcut. I will show you how to add text. And lastly, I will show you how to make some volume adjustments. And with these basic skills, you should be well on your way to creating more, better content for yourself. All right, let's get started. So I've opened Shotcut over here. Let's just check the version number. 21.02.27. So if you're following along in this tutorial, and if you have this version, then everything else should look and function the same way. So I've got my Shotcut up and running, and you will be greeted with a screen like this when you open it up. So we've got our projects folder, which I have actually currently set as a custom project folder called Shotcut Projects. You can set it yourself. It would be defaulted to your movies file or to your videos file. We can set our project name. So Shotcut is interesting in the sense that it wants you to save your project even before you get started. So in a way that's good because you're not working with an untitled file, getting in the groove, and then all of a sudden it crashes and then you've lost all your work. It'll ask you about the video mode, which you can set over here. You can change it as well once you get started, but for today, we're going to be using 1080p 24 frames per second. Let's go ahead and hit start. So on the left here, we've got our playlist. In the middle, we've got our clip monitor. We've got our audio peak meter here on the right, which we don't see anything, but we will see our audio levels over there. We've got our toolbar here for our editing. And then lastly, at the bottom here, we've got our timeline. So that's the basic of our user interface. We've got some different workspace setups over here. We've got logging, editing, which we're going to be spending most of our time in editing. Effects, which can help you when you're doing video effects, color for color grading, audio for audio mixing and adjustments, and lastly a big player so you can just see your work. So we're going back to the editing workspace, and let's go ahead and get started and add some clips. So the clips that we're going to be bringing in today are from Pexels.com. So if you're looking for some high resolution, good quality video and audio that you want and can play with, and you're not going to get charged for it, you can go to Pexels. So I've gone ahead and added 4 clips over here. Most of them are just aerial imagery of one of my favorite cities, which is Atlanta. I used to live in Atlanta, fun fact. In our playlist, we can view this in a few different ways. Right now, we've got it viewed in a list mode. We can view it in an icon mode. We can view it in a simple list, so just the titles, or a detailed list. We can reorganize things as we want them to be ordered. It's not necessarily ordered according to alphabetical order, like in Kdenlive. We can set it manually. So that's a nice thing. I wish we could make folders, but we can't really do that. We've got our clip monitor here in the middle, so we can play. These clips do not have any audio, so we're not going to see any audio peak meter, any audio volumes here, but that's it. So let's go ahead and build our video. So I'm going to drag our video, first video here, into the timeline. Shotcut will automatically create a video track for you. We can play it, so same thing, spacebar is the play button. We can do different things, like we can add a video track So I'll add an additional video track over here. This is a bit fat, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make the tracks a bit shorter so we can view a little bit more. Make the track height a little bit shorter, or we can just set it to the default, reset track height. I'm just gonna leave it at the default right now, and let's add our second clip in. So here are our toolbars, and we're not gonna focus on a lot of these different tools. There are some things that will ask you to turn off though, to make your life a little bit easier. So this magnet looking tool is the snapping tool. So as you can see, it snaps the track together. If you turn this off, then it doesn't really snap and everything just kind of, you know, goes over one another, which you may not want to do. So you can turn this on and off. I tend to leave it on and turn it off when I need it. The next one is scrub while dragging. So if we turn that on, as I scrub, as I move my playhead, and you can see this is not working properly for me because my computer is recording and it's using the CPU and it's also trying to do the scrubbing here, so it's really laggy. So I'll tend to turn that off. The next one here, we've got ripple, trim and drop, and then ripple edits across all the tracks. I would recommend that you turn these off for now. These are a bit more advanced functions. Not really advanced, but they can be a bit confusing and could mess up some stuff in your timeline. So to keep it simple, because today we're just going to be going over the basics, I would just turn these two off. So let's go ahead and make a simple cut. So I'm going to start at the beginning here and just play. And let's say I want about 4 seconds of this first track. So I can set it at exactly 4 seconds over here. So I can type in 400. It'll move the playhead to the 4 second mark. I can split at the playhead. So when I split that, it'll split it into 2 different tracks. This is how I like to do cuts in Shotcut. So I don't need this, so I can just select that and delete. We've got a space here. I can right click and remove that space to bring that track next to each other. So we've got a nice 4 second intro and a jump cut into the big building. Now what if I want to do a transition? So Shotcut is really cool in that it makes those transitions really easy to do. So what we can do is just select one of our tracks, so either the shorter one or the longer one over here. It doesn't matter. We can overlay them next to each other. You can see the overlap, and it creates this little X looking box. So that is our transition. There we go. Let's just undo that for a second. If I want it to be a longer transition, what I can do is I can move it, overlap a larger area, and the transition is going to happen a lot slower. Now if I want it to be a quicker transition, I can just move it in just a little bit, and then we've got a quicker transition. There you go. Now let's play with the transitions a little bit. So I'm just going to undo that, and I'm just going to put it at around there. So we've got enough time to actually see the transition and see what's going on. I can click on this box and I can go to properties. So I right click properties, or you can also go click on it and go to properties tab over here. So now we've got our transition just as a simple dissolve. So we can change this to something else. Let's just do something weird like a matrix snake vertical, and let's see what that looks like. There you go. Now let's try something else. Let's do a barn V up just to see what that looks like. And you've got some options to play around with your dissolve transitions. So now you've learned how to make your video a little bit fancy with some of these transitions. The next thing that I'm going to show you is I'm going to add some text into our video. So let's say I want to do a little text here at the lower third, just the name Atlanta. So there's 2 ways to add text in Shotcut. One way is to add it via a filter. So we go to, I'll click on the clip, I'll go to filters and add the plus button. I'm gonna search for text. Here we go, just a simple text. It just gives us the time code, but I can change that to the name. And let me just change the outline to 0 because I don't want that black outline. It looks ugly. And then I can resize this box accordingly. And that's a simple way to add your text. So if we play this, it's going to add the Atlanta text. Now it's going to display that box because I've got the clip selected. If you don't want that to see that box, you can click on another clip here, it'll disappear, and then we can move the playhead and then just check it out. Now that's one way to add text, but I don't prefer this way because you can see that the text filter is applied for the whole duration of the clip because the filter is applied on a per clip basis. So it's very limiting. What if I want to do a smooth dissolve transition for the text and a dissolve fade out or something like that? And I can't really do that here. So I'm going to show you a different way to add text. So let me just go ahead and remove this filter. So I'll go ahead and remove that filter. And I'm going to add I'm going to File, Open Other, add a transparent color clip. Now our transparent color clip is just going to show up like a black screen over here. So what you can do is you can click on this and drag it into your timeline. So this is just a transparent layer. So you see it doesn't really do anything. And it would be best if you actually added a video track above. So we've added video track number 2. If you didn't do that initially, it's really easy. You can do track operations, add video track. Okay. Let's go ahead and add our text. So same thing, File, Open Other, then we go to text. I'm just going to type it in here so that I can see the text. It's just going to be a transparent background. Click OK, and we've got our text here. So let me just go ahead and drag that in and we'll make some changes. So I've got my text layer. So similar to what we have, I'm gonna uncheck this so that I can resize it properly. I'm going to put the outline thickness to 0 because I don't want that outline. And now I have the freedom to move the text wherever I want it. And let's say I want the text to come in at this point with a slight fade. And I can copy this. I can't right click and paste, so I'm just going to do Command V or Control V, and then I'm going to do a transition out here. So now what this looks like is a nice fade in and fade out of the text. So this is the way that I would prefer for you to add text, because then you can have more control over the text. Let's say you don't want to have a fade out over there, you just want it to disappear. And it's really easy. We can just delete these out. And then it's just going to disappear. If you change your mind, if you want the text to be a bit longer and last through the whole duration of the clip, then you can just stretch that out. There you go. That's the easy way. Now let's look at adding some effects. Now effects in Shotcut are added through the same thing in your filters. So let's use another one of our clips here. I'm just going to add that in here. So there we go. Let's say I want some sort of a crazy little artsy whatever effect around here. I can select a clip, go to filters, add. I'm going to add a video filter, and you can play around, but I saw something called glitch. So I'm going to go ahead and add that in. So I've added the glitch. This is just at the default settings. You can adjust it if you want. But what that does is I'm going to add this glitchy effect. Again, it's applied on a per clip basis, so the whole thing has that glitch effect. What if I only want it at a little bit, not the whole clip? So what I can do is I can split this, split at the playhead here, and I'll skip it forward a little bit, and then split at the playhead there. I want the glitch to only happen at this time frame. So I'll click on this clip, and I can remove the glitch. So I can uncheck that or delete it outright. So I can just uncheck it, and I'll show you on this clip. I'm going to go ahead and actually delete. So now what this looks like is if we move it back, we've got a normal looking clip, a little glitch, and then done. So that's how you can add a simple effect. Now lastly, what we're going to add is some sound. So we'll go ahead and add our sound file here. And just a tip for you, if you're looking for royalty-free sounds, the easiest way to go is on YouTube. So if you already have a YouTube channel, which if you're making videos and publishing videos, chances are you already have one. So we'll just go ahead to your YouTube channel over here, click on your YouTube section, and then go to YouTube Studio. If you scroll down, you will find your audio library. Everything that you need for sounds to get started should be found over here. So most is free music. You can filter out what you want. You've got some sound effects, and you can also see the ones that you've favorited. I've already picked and downloaded a track, so let's go ahead and bring that in. Now when we try to add this into Shotcut, this is an audio only file. Notice that it tries to add it as a video file, which is not really what we want. So we can go to track operations, and then we can add an audio track at the bottom. We can now bring this in to the bottom. There we go. So you can see our audio meter over here, so you can monitor that the audio is not getting too loud or too soft. It's going to break apart over here because I'm recording and the CPU is struggling to keep up. Now that we've added in our audio, I'm going to show you one last thing. I'm going to go back and zoom into our track here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make our track height a little bit bigger, so that I can see the waveform. So we can see the waveform of our audio over here. Just in case your audio is either too soft or too loud, we can add an audio filter. It functions the same way as a video filter. I just go ahead and click on this file. I can go to filters, add, and to adjust volume, we can use something called gain or volume. And we can adjust according to the decibels here to make the volume lower or to make the volume a bit louder. Now make sure that you're not exceeding the red mark here. So it's best to stay around, I'm not an audio engineer, but around 10 max at -5 decibels, -8 decibels is probably the sweet spot, just so that you don't get that cracking noise. Now same thing, you can add an audio filter to your video. So say this clip has sound and I want to mute it out. So I can click on this clip, I can add an audio filter, I can go to gain or volume, and then I can just turn the whole volume down so that it's muted. So that's one way to add it. If it's all across the whole track, you can just mute it. And that way, when you export, there's no audio. But a few more things that I'll talk to you about before we call this a day. So we've got our track over here. If you have a hard time seeing different things, you can always adjust the clip monitor height and width. You can see if we want to see more of our track, we can decrease the track height, so make the track shorter. We can zoom in and out of our tracks to zoom into a particular section, or we can zoom out to kind of see the whole thing. When you're finished with your video, we can go to export. We've got a few different options here. If you're exporting to YouTube, just go ahead and export to YouTube. You can go to advanced to configure a few other different things, but pretty much it's already pre-configured for you. Export to file and name your file, and away you go. And that's it, everybody. Stay tuned for at the end of this video, because I'm going to show you the final result of what we've edited today. Thank you so much for your time. Hope you learned something today, and I will see you guys next time. Bye bye.